Founder Culture, the podcast for startup leaders who know that building a business may be hard, but building a team, now that's where things get tricky. I'm Romaine, right? Founder of Just Right Consulting, LLC, and creator of Thrive or Derive. As a leadership coach and team alignment strategist, I help founders and startup leaders align team behaviors before it costs them trust, time, and talent. In every episode, I take one real team issue, break down the behaviors driving it, and provide strategies on how to fix it before things fall apart. Let's dive in. Welcome to the episode. So this episode is called My Calendar Has Gaps, so I feel like I'm not doing enough. Now, I understand that a lot of founders, just like me, have come from a corporate background, and what we don't realize is that we've brought with us a lot of habits. So you left your job and suddenly you look at your calendar and it's empty, right there. There's nothing there. And you're freaking out because you're used to back-to-back meetings, urgent emails flooding into your inbox every day, a boss pinging you to find out what's going on with all of your projects throughout the day. And now you're working for yourself and you look at your calendar and you see gaps, and it could be saying all kinds of things, right? It makes you start to think, am I busy? Like, why am I not more busy? Why don't I have more work to do? Am I dropping the ball? Shouldn't I be doing more? How could I not have more to do? I was working my tail off for someone else, and now I'm working for me, and I'm just not doing anything. So I wanted to record this episode because I've had this feeling. I've talked to lots of founders who have had this feeling, and I was inspired by one of my good friends who has, just like me, come from a corporate background, is now a founder, and this is the exact conversation we were having. She shared with me that she had an issue with her VA who sets her appointments because she looked at her calendar and saw gaps. And she's like, what do you mean I don't have any appointments for this 2 hours? And as we talked about it, we realized that this is a real issue that a lot of founders face. And so I want to talk about it today, right? This challenge that we experience as we're transitioning from our corporate mindset into this founder entrepreneur space. And the challenge here is that in corporate life, being busy meant you were being productive. We're kind of expected to minute after minute after minute be doing something to show that we're valuable, to show that we're contributing to the team, to show that we're actually working. But now, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, you're the one who sets the rhythm of your work. You are finally in control. And now it feels like I'm not doing enough because I'm not as busy as I'm used to doing. A lot of founders actually think they're being lazy when they look at those calendars and see that white space. But what I'm learning to share as I coach others, and I'm going through this journey myself, is that that's really just unscheduled time. Time for us to fill how we please. And instead of feeling that anxiety when you're not busy, we want to be intentional about how we fill that space. So we'll get to that when we talk about the strategy, but I want us to talk more about the behavior behind this, because it's important for us to understand what the origins of this anxiety that we feel really are, and that as we transition again from that corporate busy mindset to now being the architect of how we work as an entrepreneur, as a founder. So as I've talked to others, again, talked to my friends, talked to many other founders, reflected on my own experience as well, and thought about the behavior behind all of this, I've come to label it as urgency addiction. So we have developed a habit in that corporate environment of chasing busyness to make us feel productive, to make us feel like we're in control, like we're contributing, and that we're valuable to the team, even in times when there's no urgency involved. But we feel that drive to constantly be moving and constantly be active, because in the corporate world, that is what got us rewarded and promoted, right? So let's talk about what that could look like, because you may be thinking, oh, Romaine, you're crazy. But I want you to understand what you might be experiencing, or what it might be looking like, some symptoms of urgency addiction. So maybe you have double booked and triple booked yourself, overscheduled yourself when you don't need to. That could look like, because you're used to those back to back to back meetings in the corporate world, when you're ending one meeting, you're about already starting the other. So as an entrepreneur, as a founder, you don't have to do that. You can have all the space you want between your meetings. But if you're backing or scheduling your meetings back to back, just so that you feel productive, that could mean that you're experiencing urgency addiction. If you are micromanaging your team, you've already delegated things, you've given them permission and ownership of things, and you go back and get involved when you don't need to, that could also mean that you are experiencing urgency addiction. If you are avoiding downtime and rest and not allowing yourself to recharge, again, urgency addiction. It always amazes me that we understand we have to recharge and reset our devices. But when it comes to us, we don't realize that we need to do the same. And we are living beings, and those are devices. So if you're avoiding that time to recharge and reset, you're probably experiencing urgency addiction. And then a last one that really is the one I've struggled with is taking on tasks that don't align with your role or your work, just so you can feel involved, so you can feel like you're contributing, so you can feel like you're important. Because again, in corporate America, in our corporate working environments, that's what is rewarded. That's what gets us promoted. I can share that in my corporate experience, I absolutely did all the things. I was asked to be on projects. Sure. Can you take on this task? Absolutely. Totally out of my scope, but things that I had the capacity to do. And so I did them. And because of that, I learned so much about what other people did in other departments and other roles. And that made me a well-rounded employee that was promoted, because I could build relationships and had understanding about so many different facets of the business. But as an entrepreneur, that doesn't work, right? I have to be the one to own all the things. And if I try to do all the things to keep myself busy, it leads to burnout. And that is, again, why it's an addiction, because we get a drive, we get this boost of adrenaline from going, and then eventually there's nothing left to give. And if you're like me, that's part of the reason you left your corporate job, because at the end of the day, you didn't have anything left. And while that was a benefit for you in corporate America, it is a disaster and detrimental to you as an entrepreneur and founder. So how do we fix this, right? How do we recover and reset ourselves from this urgency addiction? We have to start by reframing the way we think about that white space on our calendar when we see it. So right now, it looks like something that you're doing something wrong, you're missing something, you dread seeing it. I want you to shift your mindset for that to actually be sacred and something that you cherish, because that means you have time that you can leverage. When you're in corporate America, time is everything. As an entrepreneur, time is still everything, and you just get to decide what you do with it instead of someone deciding it for you. So you're going to shift your mindset, reframe your thinking about that white space from something that you dread to something that you cherish. And then you're going to fill it with things like strategic planning, professional development. Professional development no longer is the checkbox like it was in corporate America. Now it's something real. What can I learn? Who can I meet? How can I grow to make my business better? Use it for team building. Go connect with your employees, right? Chances are you want a culture where your employees feel like they want to be there and they can thrive. And that starts with having a relationship with you. Go shadow one of them. Take someone to lunch that you've not connected with your new employees. Build that into your calendar. Fill your white space with that. You can also engage in invisible work, those things that are important but aren't necessarily urgent, like reviewing your financials or doing internal audits, things that you may have other people to do, but it helps if you're informed. You can do that during that white time. And then if none of that is what you want to do this week, rest. Go for a walk. I absolutely have a nap and lunch on my calendar every single day. And you should too, because you need that time to reset, recharge, and get yourself in a space that allows you to be your best self and to show up for yourself at your full capacity and not just giving whatever is left. So, here's what I want you to take away from this. I really want you to think about it this way. Think about why you left your corporate job. Chances are you don't want to bring that to your business. Typically, it's chaotic. Typically, it's stressful. Typically, it's a lot to take on, and it runs your life and has consumed your energy. And again, if you're like me, that's part of the reason you decided to be an entrepreneur. So what we don't want to do is take all of that and replicate it in our business and hold ourselves to those standards. This is your business. You are not trying to impress anyone with how busy you are. You are there to lead your team, lead your business, and to do so with clarity, intention, and enough space and room to actually think and process through what you're doing so that you are providing quality services and not just busy services, not just busy work. And your calendar should reflect that. So when you look at your calendar and you see gaps, you should be excited because you get to fill them intentionally and not just be busy. So now that you have left the grind, you can lead your team with a totally different strategy, and again, allow your calendar to reflect that. If this hit home with you and it resonated with you and you're watching on YouTube, hop in the comments, let me know, share your thoughts, share your experiences, share this episode with someone who you know can relate. And for more tips, ideas, and strategies, jump on LinkedIn and follow me. My profile link is in the show notes, along with any other information related to how you can connect with me. Until next time, build trust and results will follow.